and I just gave her the
Great.
heads up that I was going to do an interview with her at the last minute when she came on. So she doesn't know what we're going to ask her, but I promised her that they would be very tame questions. But I thought this might be kind of fun. So Leslie, how you doing?
Good.
Well, thank you for being here. And I wanted to
Mhm.
first ask you, how long have you been interested in art? Are you one of those folks that started out when you were 3 years old, or is it something that
Yeah,
been recent?
probably 7 years
Seven?
old or so. Everybody draws when they're a child.
Well, I never did. So you started drawing, and did you get interested in other forms of art when you were younger?
Yeah, but mostly drawing, and I guess I started out painting in acrylic. I s- stumbled around with acrylic and oil when I was in college, University of Maryland, and I started watercolor really in earnest when I moved out to California.
So that was going to be one of my questions. Are you a native Walnut Creek person, or are you not a native
Nope,
Californian?
nope. I came from Maryland in 19, I forget the year now.
So in the last century then.
Yeah.
Great. And do you enjoy other than we know you're a master watercolor artist, and but do you still paint in other mediums?
Yes, but not so much. I
Okay.
really like watercolor because it dries quickly, and and I used to have a cat, so I didn't want the oil paints to get all over the
Ah,
cat. So no, I like watercolor. It's a good teaching medium because it's quick, and I think I think it's really one of the most difficult mediums that you can paint in, though. I think that the other mediums are easier because you don't have to worry about how much water and how much paint,
hmm. Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
sure that's true.
Yeah, I
So,
think it's hard.
were you formally trained, Leslie, or self-taught?
I graduated from University of Maryland in secondary art education.
Wow.
And so that's where I got my start, really. And I did teach high school for a very short time. And then when I moved to California, I started taking workshops.
Okay. I was always curious about folks that have been formally trained in art. Did you come out expecting to be an artist, or was there another path for you?
Yes, I did expect to do that, and I only majored in education so that I could get a job.
Okay. Smart you. Um, and I
I
know,
like your interview.
good, good. I know that you're a teacher because everybody I meet just as early as last weekend at the gallery says when I mentioned Leslie, oh yeah, I take her class. So I how long have you been teaching art?
Oh, um, well, I think I've been with the Center for Community Arts teaching for, hmm, well, I don't know, probably 15 years.
15 years? Wow.
And before that, I taught at Dublin Adult Ed, and I've had my own classes as well over the years.
Okay.
So it's not something that I thought I would do after I retired because I was a
Yeah.
real estate appraiser before I retired.
Yeah.
And then but I never stopped painting
Okay.
during all
Well,
those years.
like I say, everybody I meet has taken a class from you or is taking a class from you. So I'm always blown away by that. Um,
Thank you.
So what are some of your favorite subjects to paint? Do you have something that you like doing more than other things, or do you paint everything?
I like doing landscapes a lot because they provide a freedom that other media, I mean, that other subjects don't really give you that kind of a freedom. But in my classes, I try to teach lots of different source material so people don't get bored. And So I do portraits. I like doing portraits. I like doing figures, but I think that I don't do enough of those to make it easy.
Uh,
I do like florals and and seascapes and mountainscapes, like the one we're going to do tonight. So no, I think most anything can make a good painting. And so we're going to talk a little bit about composition when we get started.
Super. I know you mentioned before we got everybody into the Zoom room that this painting you're going to do tonight was a plein air piece that you had done before. Do you split your time in terms of studio painting and plein air, or do you have a favorite, or do you spend a lot of time outdoors, or?
I used to spend more time outdoors painting, and I like painting outdoors, but I'm a real fair weather painter. I don't like to go out when it's cold or rainy or whatever. So I spend most of my time teaching classes and painting in my classes, to tell you the truth. I'm
Okay.
teaching, I think, 75 students a week.
So how many paintings do you do a week?
Well, it depends on whether or not they fall over into the next week of classes. Sometimes I finish a painting in one session, but most of the time I don't, and it goes into the second week. So it depends. It depends a lot on how complicated the subject is. Some are easier, some are not. But
20% shareholder of the
Okay.
company. If I don't deliver, big guy.
Last question for you, Leslie.
We find out
What
if
do you
they're
like?
going to
Let me see
say
who's
yes.
talking here and mute them here.
yeah, somebody's talking.
I think you guys have done an amazing job with this. It is solving a real problem.
I don't know who it is.
No, I got it.
See.
I think I got it. Yeah. So last question,
right.
Leslie, when you're not
Sure.
painting or teaching or volunteering for CWA, what else do you like to do? You have other hobbies?
I think that we
Oh, I love the outdoors. I love playing tennis,
put $30 billion
and
in adhesive.
you know, I don't really have a lot of personal time these days now that I'm retired at teaching so much.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
thank you.
I
Thank you,
like.
Leslie.
Thank you for the interview. That was really
Yeah, it was
fun.
fun. I enjoyed it. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you, and then
Okay.
you can go ahead and get started.
All right, I will.
Okay, you're all set.
All right. Thank you. We're not spotlighted yet.
No? Are you in
Nope.
gallery view or?
I don't know. No, I was in speaker. Okay,
There you
here's
go.
gallery. Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see you guys, everybody. Oh my goodness, there's so many people I know among you guys. Bernie and Thula, all of you guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're still not spotlighted.
Yeah, I think you are,
Or
Leslie.
I am?
Yep.
Not in my computer, I'm not.
She's
you in gallery
spotlighted
view
in
too?
mine.
What?
You're spotlighted for us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good, I guess. So I wanted to go over, I'm going to switch my camera to so you can see my easel. And let's see here. Okay. I wish that mine was bigger, but it's not.
Yeah,
I
I don't
wish I
know.
could
Yeah, the only thing it possibly could be is that you're still in gallery view instead of speaker view.
No. Well, oh, you wanted me to be in
I
speaker
want you to
view.
be in speaker view.
Oh, there we go.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
Now, but it's still not coming on. It just has CWA on it.
Well, I'm not sure what's
I,
going on other than you are,
This is
I
the
think
same
everybody
view
else,
we see in class, Leslie.
yeah,
it
everybody else is
is.
seeing you
Yep.
Everybody else can see it, and you can.
Yep.
You got your picture in the upper left corner and then your
Yeah.
Paper is.
Oh, okay, so you guys can see all this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so different than when I'm teaching. Okay. Well, what I wanted to do, and I hope you can see this. If you can't, please speak up. I wanted to show you the source material that I'm looking at. And I wanted to show you that most of the time when you have a source material, it's not very interesting. And this is no exception. So when I get around to doing the contour drawing for me, it's a contour. It's really a modified contour drawing. So when I get around to that here in a few minutes, I will try to mitigate some of the problems with the source material that I see happening here. For one, one of the things that's really awful about this source material, it's a beautiful mountain, but one of the things that the viewer gets trapped by this hard-edged line all the way across. And I find that if you work the source material and use your imagination to break up so that the viewer's eye moves more freely through the composition, then you'll have a better painting. So a lot of the people that I teach feel bound by the source material, and you really shouldn't. Just consider the source material as a beginnings, as a diving board to jump in. I also saw that this line across the center here. This is a view of Mt Diablo from Walnut Creek. And I thought that was just, it was dividing the paper in half, and it was also just not helping the composition at all. So I plan to not use that. You can see that it just divides the paper in half, which I don't really like to do. The other thing that I do when I'm doing my drawing is I'm looking for areas of, it's really a modified contour drawing. It's not just a contour drawing. And I use the contour drawing to establish areas of emphasis and also areas that are played down, areas where I might have soft edges, areas where I might have hard contrasted edges. And really this foreground is just boring. So I might be thinking about what I'm going to do in one or more areas of the foreground if the photograph is just not so hot. I like using, and I guess I should just start here, using different strengths of line. So I will start this now. And just because I know that I'm not going to get done with it, I have this one that I actually did yesterday. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
And you'll notice that and when I start this, I'll just start it and do a little bit here on this blank sheet, and then move to this. But what I'm talking about when I say varying the line and varying the areas of importance, if you look at the source material that I just showed you, you can see that I have a lot of different strengths in my line, a lot of areas there where you might have opportunities for pass-throughs. And it's not about the subject, it's really about how the composition is divided. And so I'm looking for areas that I can, looking for things that I can devise to make a more interesting composition than what I'm looking at in plein air or from a photograph. So if I take that down, yeah.
Can you tell us what you mean by areas that you can have pass-throughs? Do you mean like hard and soft edges?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean hard and soft edges. Like for instance, if I'm looking at the subject, thanks for asking the question, Joe. if I'm looking at the subject, you can certainly see where the mountain hits the sky easily. But here you can't. And one of the great things about soft edges is that they allow the eye to move through the composition. Here, no, but here, yes. So hard concrete lines might indicate that I want that edge, but then maybe I'm going to let it go. I also have changes in direction. You can see that I've got lots of changes in direction in certain areas. I also use dots. Many of you who are my students know why I do dots, but I do dots because they're places I'm stopping to look. I'm places I'm stopping to look and move on to a different direction, a different place. Stop, go, but keeping my pencil on the paper. That I think is really important, because if you're always picking up your pencil, then you're never sure about where you're going to come back to it. Also, I think that by keeping the pencil on the paper, I don't get lost as easily. And I get to pick out things that I think are interesting and leave out stuff that I don't notice. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes,
Good.
thank
I'm
you.
always asking. Okay, sure. So now I'm gonna jump to where I started this and go to a new sheet for just a few minutes, because I don't want to spend the whole time on the drawing. This drawing took me about 20 minutes. And so anyway, I'm just going to tell you kind of what I made up about how to do a drawing. And I think that, well, one is I got a lot of training from Charles Reed. Most of you know that. And I was just enamored by how he could so easily go through a composition, and it would just be absolutely lovely. And so what I do, just as a modified grid system, I've started this in like the last year. I put a dot in the center, can you see? And quarter mark, halfway mark, quarter mark, quarter mark, half, quarter, all the way around. And then I do the same thing with my source material. So I know kind of where I'm going to be. So if I get lost, I can get found again. I can find my place again. So right here is the center of my composition. And I'm just going to go up here because I know that that's kind of where I'm pointing with my left hand. Can you see my left hand?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to go up. Now I realize, okay, I'm just going to go up. Now I keep my pencil on the paper, but I stop and I change direction. And I go up, and with a curve, and over, stop, down, over, single line, not a sketchy line. It just meanders so that I can choose the things that I think are interesting at any given time. And so you can see now I ended up right at the quarter mark here. So it helps me to do the drawing in this way, because I'm not picking out all of the detail. I'm only picking out what happens to draw my attention at any given time. And so now if I look down at the mountain and I see all of these lovely little changes in direction, and I can use my pencil for emphasis with a dark line, and for not emphasis in a nice soft, maybe even almost imperceptible line. So here I am going here, back over here, because I happen to notice that. and I can say, oh, that would be a nice shape to put in my painting. So do you see where I am now? Can you see
Mhm.
that big?
Yep.
Okay, so now, okay, so I've got over here. Now where am I gonna go? Well, I can go back down to where my dot was and say, oh, well, maybe I can go over and I can find a place for that line to escape. Escapes are a good thing. So I'm escaping into some other shapes that I happen to enjoy. I like those shapes, but then there's lots of other shapes that I just gloss over. So now I can continue down from the center of my paper and go here. I mean, this is not a grid system, but it's like that. So here I am now with the dark mountain ahead of me. So at this point, I'm going up, changing direction, going over, up, over. Single line is important. For me, it is anyway. Okay, so now I'm here, coming up into that part of the paper. And then I can say, oh, okay, I just finished up there. Now I can looking at my grid marks and say, well, where in the world should this be? Or where should this be? So if I look, here's the quarter mark, here's the halfway point, it's roughly in the middle. So I'm just going to come up and try and marry up that line. Any questions? Please ask.
None yet.
Okay,
If you have
so
a question,
I'm just
put it in
kind
the
of
chat.
scribbling. What?
I was going to tell everybody, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll pass it on to Leslie.
Okay, so now I can come down and I want to see what I did over there. That's about right. So now I'm going to look. I still have my pencil on the paper. I never lifted it off. And I can say, well, from here, I'm going to go down. Now, this is a soft edge. That's a soft edge. So now I glide my pencil so that I don't have a hard edge. And then I can come back. So that's a key to me, that I've got a place that I can move my composition in an irregular fashion and pick out what I want to pick out what I want to include. And then there's that real telltale top of Mount Diablo that everybody knows that lives around here. And there it is. I'm just drawing because I'm just drawing where I see, and not really trying to make sure I get all that detail. I don't want all that detail. So this is where we're going. Now from there, you can see that I'm making some pretty heavy dark lines so that I know that I can remember what I want to put in. If you do a sketchy line like this, then you don't know which line you want to make. You don't want that you want to emphasize. So here we are again. I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to finally marry up. I'm going to finally marry up this mountain shape to where I started. So that is the gist of about every painting that I ever do. And the thing that I really like about this method is that it allows you to evaluate it as you go. You need big shapes, you need small shapes, you need changes in direction. And that's why the contour drawing helps me. Now, a lot of people don't do a contour drawing, or they do a tracing, which is okay, or a projection, which is okay. But I find that by doing it this way, I get to use my intuition, like I said, to then kind of design what might be a little more interesting than the source material is. And it doesn't have to just different types of line give me different actions that I can use my brush with. So I'm not going to continue with this because I've already got it done from yesterday. Any questions?
Not yet.
Not yet?
I think everybody's mesmerized
Well,
with your contour drawing.
really?
Yeah,
I love contour drawing, don't
I
you?
know. I do. As
It,
I said, I think
it's
they're
so
mesmerized.
it's such it's a discovery is what it is.
Hmm.
It's nothing more than discovering what might be possibilities for painting.
Yeah.
And that's so here's the drawing that I did yesterday. So you can see that it has a lot of the same kind of actions that I just showed you. There it is. Now I can also show you something that I would like to show you is the the plein air painting that I did of this subject, which I did start like this, just like the contour drawing. But this is what I ended up with.
So
This is
Leslie,
the paint. Huh?
there's a question, when you do a plein air painting, do you use the same method of contour drawing when you're out in the field?
Absolutely. And I use that method of drawing to begin formulating the composition. Because if I find that I've got too much detail started, then I know that I've I've got to simplify it. Or if there's not enough, then I can find punctuation marks in places. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know, what I hated about actually this is that it's just such a boring photograph.
Hmm.
So how am I going to make something interesting out of something that is just, the camera doesn't discriminate. The camera takes everything and it doesn't say what's important and what's not. And so that means we artists have to make it up. We have to make it up or exaggerate as we go. And this is my answer. This painting is in the John Muir CWA member show right now. And I was just mesmerized by the fall colors when I did this plein air painting. And so you can see that what I did and what I will do hopefully here is I will find ways of making this boring tree line something that is not just descriptive of trees. Some of my students that I have are like we all were at one point in time in our artistic life, where we know what a tree is, so we look at it, and so we make it a tree. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees, all separate and all look the same. And that isn't what we're after, is it? So I'm looking for ways to move the viewer's eye and all but forget about what the subject is. It's more about how the elements of design are treated in your composition rather than copying it exactly as it is. And you guys all probably know that because most of you are probably experienced painters. Georgianne, I know you think like that, I think. But in any case, here you go. So I wanted to, before I get too far along, I wanted to tell you about, if I have to, tell you about the materials that I use. I use Da Vinci Kolinsky sable brushes usually. And I'll just show you what, but they're too expensive. They're so expensive and they wear out because they're fragile. Like these are 2 Kolinsky sable brushes that I have, and I've got more, but they are very expensive, and also if you don't treat them right, then their points go away. Um, a, a, another good one that you might use is the silver black velvet ones. Those are very inexpensive. They're squirrel, I believe, and they I I find that they kind of wear out on the sides quickly, but they're a very good alternative. This one right here is the Water Lily by Dynasty, and that is a very good brush, and it's not expensive at all. This is the quill, and it's size 0, believe it or not. And it's, like I said, Water Lily by Dynasty. I think it's a quill. And I don't use any flat brushes. This one is also a nice a synthetic that is a Da Vinci brush. And I can't see what kind it is. It says Kagalowska by Da Vinci. And this is, I haven't used it much, so I don't really know how it works, but I expect that it would be good for skies. So, and also one of the things that I use a lot is this. Mr. Clean, oh, can you see this? Oh, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser sheet. Here's the sheets, and you get them in the laundry area of the grocery store, and they are a very good cleaning tool if you want to scrape out paint with an eraser shield. I use an eraser shield if I want to get lines that need to have paint removed, and I use either a Viva towel or one of these Mr. Clean Magic Erasers. I use a Viva towel because all the other towels are not good. This is a Viva towel. It has no design on it, and it's very soft, and it's much better at maneuvering paint than regular old Bounties or whatever. And then last, I'll tell you about this palette. And I just looked this up, and they're not taking orders anymore for this for a while because Greg Young is too busy. Plus, this is too expensive for a lot of people anyway. But anyway, I use this palette because, can you see it okay? I can't tell what you see. I use this palette because it has big wells. And if you use those little palettes that have tiny little quarter pans, then they dry out. And I like having the larger wells. This is the only palette I use, and so, you know, I don't know if you're interested in the colors, but here's the yellows. There's a warmer yellow and a cooler yellow, and then the greens, and I don't use a lot of I mix most of my greens. This is chromium oxide green and viridian. I don't use those too much. And then this is alizarin crimson. So here we go. Oh, let's see. Yeah, cad red light and cad yellow orange, and this is permanent rose. And then the blues are cerulean and cobalt and ultramarine blue. And then I got a violet over here. And then the earth tones are down here. That's a raw sienna and raw umber. And raw means yellow. And burnt means red. So if I'm using this raw sienna, it makes a nice green when I use a blue with it, because it's really in the yellow family. And this is burnt sienna and burnt umber. And I very rarely go in any other colors than this.
Leslie, what's the name of the palette?
Oh, this is the Paint Box Company in the UK, made by Craig Young. And they're handmade.
Thank you.
They're fired. So I think that there may be some similar ones in this country, but he's actually postponed any new orders until he gets his current ones filled. I just found that out yesterday. I know that was quick, but if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Okay, so let's get started on this painting. I don't know that I'll get through with it, but I do have another finished painting that I'll show you if I don't get finished with this. And I likely won't. But anyway.
Just so you know, Leslie, it's 7:51.
Really?
Yeah, you're in good shape.
No.
Oh, okay, you're not in good shape. Get going.
Thanks for keeping me. I've got to get closer. Okay, so here we go. All right. Well, I like this subject, and you know, there's so many times that I've tried to do paintings of this mountain, and it's really difficult. It always comes out awful until I happened to be sitting right at this location, and I could take advantage of some stuff that was going on in the foreground. So, if you have any questions about how I drew this stuff, about this. I loved these trees. You see how they're just like dancers? And then I purposely made a pass through, or I will make a pass through these trees so that the viewer's eye can be manipulating all over this mountain instead of just cut off. In other words, the viewer's eye is tracked because of this triangle. So I made that happen in my drawing. So I have a spray bottle here. Let's see. Well, you can start your painting anywhere you want.
Are you painting with mostly fresh paints, or do you let your palette dry out?
I don't let it dry out.
Okay.
Every time I start to paint, I use that spray, and I also have a skewer like you would put vegetables on, a wooden skewer, and I go and I mix them up so that they're nice and juicy.
I see that paper is not stretched. When you do larger
Oh,
paintings,
yeah.
stretch your paper?
No,
Okay.
I used to do full sheets, but I haven't lately. I haven't. Every once in a while, I'll do a half sheet, but most of the time, I'm just doing quarter sheets right now. I'm just gonna lay it. So if I've got this hard edge that I've laid down with that's too green. Okay. Like that. So I'm placing the paint with this brush, and you can see it has a nice point on it. And I'm placing the paint and finding where I want, keeping the brush on the paper and finding. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
I am used to looking at my screen and seeing how I'm doing when I'm teaching on Zoom. So I look over there and then you're not there.
Yeah,
Drives me nuts.
we can see it perfectly.
Okay. All right. So when I use this, I use the water, like what I'm doing is rinsing out my brush, and then I have a towel on my knee, and I rinse, I get most of the water out so that when I go into my paint, I'm not overly, it's not um, overly wet. So I'm just going to go back over this a little bit there.
Is there a reason why you started where you started, Leslie?
Yeah, because I really like this I like this area of interest. I usually start with an area of interest that includes all the values. That's a good question, Joe. Thanks for asking.
It was Michelle that asked that.
Oh,
I remember you did
okay.
this on your last demo where you started with that big tree behind the barn, which was definitely an interest.
Big tree behind the barn.
Yeah, I think you
Which one
painted
was
Point
that?
Reyes. The last demo that you did for us, you painted I think it was a barn out at Point Reyes.
Hmm.
You got it entered in a show,
Oh
and
no, it's on the YouTube, right?
yes, yes.
No, that was at up in Solano County.
Ah,
What's that? It's a ranch.
I think
Oh,
you won an award with that painting.
I think I did.
I know you did with CWA.
Oh, that's been a long time. So right now I'm just kind of sneaking up on this. I'm looking for I'm looking for what I noticed in my pencil, and I'm either using it or not. And so I like to have areas of activity, and then I like to have areas of no activity or soft without activity. So this area here is very interesting to me because of the way it the because of the way the way that the contours are arranged in this mountain. And of course, I'm not including all the detail. I couldn't even if I wanted to. So far, now I think I'll go down and get into um, some areas so that I get some extensions, some soft edges. So I'm not all hard edges. So I'm doing this to soften the transitions between some of this that were before a hard edge. And then I can get into and I'm using my brush almost like it's my pencil. You can see that I'm stopping and starting and then finding connections between certain areas. So as I do that, and then I think what I'll do is I'm only using cobalt blue and raw sienna and maybe a little raw umber and that's too much blue. So I'm mixing it. I'm mixing and see my palette is vertical and it's not running.
What angle is your painting at?
My easel is almost at 90 degrees.
Okay,
It's not 90 degrees. It's just like that instead of 90 degrees.
okay.
So I'm just going to come over here and look for this hard edge and this. So I can use the flat of my brush. I can use my hand, move. It's not, it's not I'm not being arbitrary with this brush. I'm being direct about what I see and the motion that I'm using. Thank you for asking questions because I don't know what you need to know. Now, there's raw sienna. I love raw sienna. I love raw sienna and cerulean blue and carmine and cobalt, and those are the ones that I'm using most in my work. Now I think I'm going to use just a little bit of carmine up here to kind of get a warmer yellow. That's probably too saturated, so I'm going to add a little. I should wait. I'll go up here instead. Okay. I think I'll also take the opportunity to just get a little looser here. I don't want to splatter this. If I feel like I'm getting too tight, then I'll introduce some spatter and then move the spatter so that I come up with some unusual shapes and edges. And then if I want to, I can use my fingernail to get that back. I don't want it just to be hard edges. I want it to be a combination of hard and soft edges and darks and lights. So now that I did that, I see that this has to be darker. So I'm also gonna introduce some brushwork that is just so that it's not just a single boring stroke. Okay. Nobody's asking any questions?
No, I think everybody's mesmerized again.
Oh, I don't know. It's easy to get lost. I'm trying to find my way. Okay. Yeah.
Carol, what brush are you using again?
I'm using 10 Da Vinci, Maestro Da Vinci.
Thank you.
What you doing? Hold on. Gonna take you off the speaker. Hold on, let's see, what am I doing here? Gonna go this way. This way.
So I'm trying to give you the impression of
Making a demonstration.
Something that you could enjoy a journey through instead of just a uh, instead of um, instead of just simplifying it into a bunch of hard edges like people do, you know, say, oh, but I forgot about that little piece, you know. I'm not worried so much about that, but I am concerned about having the eye move through these shapes um, instead of it being a something that the viewer has to work to get through. I want this painting, I want this painting to be a journey for the viewer's eye instead of just shape against shape against shape. I want to give you an impression of something that you might really like to go visit. It's a little too dark there. I don't think I've got these shapes right. Nobody's going to know. Okay. I like leaving some of these lights. I really like leaving some of these lights, but I also like having some of these light midtones give you pathways through the composition so that it just becomes really an exercise in impressionism, really. just an impression of what's happening. Now I can take some of these other shapes and I can use them. But one of the things that I said when we first started out is I didn't want it to be dividing the picture plane in half. So I'm just taking some of these shapes over here and seeing if I can use those and not have them be dominating all the way across. Everybody's being too quiet. Nobody's asking any questions.
Leslie, you may have mentioned it. What do you use? What colors do you use to mix your darks?
Using combinations of cobalt blue, raw sienna, raw umber, and with sometimes a little bit of red, not much. But those are basically this is a real monochromatic scheme right now. I want to get into some more yellows and oranges in here. So I like Cad yellow orange. I think it's a great color. And I
Leslie,
think I need some.
somebody asked if you ever mix your paints on the paper.
Oh yeah, I do. I'm actually mixing these on the paper now. It's a combination of mixing them on the palette and on the paper.
And there was another question about your spatter. Could you explain that again? It said that seems that most of them you brushed out.
A lot of them I have brushed out. Um, I like to have something that I can use to just create. I like the spatter to create unusual entities. Like for instance, maybe now I'll use some spatter down here. And then I can use those edges to look at the directions that I see things are going. And anyway, it's really just the spatters just create abstraction. I think that people are they think that it's way more important than it is to say, well, I want to paint something that looks like a tree. instead of, actually just looking at the shapes and not knowing what they are, not caring what they are as I go through this exercise. And I don't think I answered the question. Maybe I did. See, I'm just getting some abstraction in here that might, if I'm lucky, that might resemble a group of trees in the fall. So I don't think I answered the question about spatter very well. Just am trying to get a reasonable divisions of shapes and colors and values, and so that even though they might not resemble a tree, you know that they're there anyway. Now, if I look down here at the source material, I see that this area right here is a series of orange and yellow and light trees, right? So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that. Maybe a little yellow. Maybe I'll use that as an opportunity to let the eye move from up here into the top part of the painting. So if I'm using some of these lighter colors, then there will still be a pass through rather than a barrier. Maybe a little bit orange. Oh boy. I don't know. What time is it, Joe?
You're at 8:19.
Oh, this is not going well.
Looks good to us.
I don't know. I mean, the time is just flying. I'm trying to rush here. So I won't, let's go on to something else. So here, I'm just looking for freedom instead of description. And I drew these little trees that you can see in the source material, but I don't want them all the same. You don't want, repetition will kill you in paintings, but it's our nature to be trapped by so much repetition. You say, well, if it was good one place, then why wouldn't it be good in other places? And then you find yourself just being repetitive.
So I can see how the spatter helps with that.
Yes, the spatter helps because it forces me to try not to be so literal about what these trees look like,
Yes. And their placement.
and their placement. You're right. I try not to put anything equidistance. So you can see I drew all these little trees here. Not them all, but I drew trees. And then here I have some really nice orange shapes. I'm gonna come down here. Let's see now. This is pretty thick paint. And I'm not running, I'm not dipping in the water much. It's almost like oil painting.
Oh, would you like kind of like soft butter? Is that what you're?
Yeah, yeah, it would be that. Yes, it would be like that. Fingernail is a really good tool.
Someone asked, Leslie, it looks like you're referring to your photograph a lot. Is that mainly for color?
Color and shapes.
Okay.
I'm marrying up. I'm trying to marry this this group of trees into the trunks and into the upper parts. So I'm looking carefully at the source material to help me with that. So like here, I'm looking at how can I get that? That's not a dark enough value. So now I have more paint, less water now. Okay. And so I'm trying to make a, see, it's not only the paint, it's not only it's not only the shape that I'm painting, it's what I'm painting against. It's what I'm trying to make a relationship, make relationships happen. But in doing that, I have to address not only the shape that I'm painting, but also the shapes that are adjacent to the shapes that I'm painting. So
So
nothing ever stands alone. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I was gonna, is it kind of like going back and forth between direct and negative?
Yes. I'm doing a lot of positive and negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, see, I don't like what I just did, but I'm gonna develop it further. So if I look at try to look at the big idea, then I can look at how these oranges are relating to these greens that I'm doing. And I'm loosely trying to figure out what's going on up there. Although I never will be able to do that because it's too complicated. But I do know that I need to have I need to have a good balance between areas that are positive and ones that are negative. And then so every once in a while you'll see me sit back like this. And that's because I need to look and see, how is this overall working? Is it, here we go now. Is that a reasonable connection between these trees? Is it varied enough so that it's not so predictable, but at the same time it's not boring? It's really hard, you guys. I don't know if I can do it.
You make it look easy.
Oh no, it's not easy. It's very difficult. And especially since I'm feeling rushed. But I'm glad that I have one that I already can show you that I did in one of my classes. Okay, so if I look at that, if I look at these dark, if I squint and I look at these darks, they need to be more connected to each other. Not necessarily the way they are in the source material. I wish we had more time than we do.
We have a half hour still.
Oh man. You're killing me, Joe.
I'm sorry. Maybe we should have skipped the interview.
Oh no. No, that was fun.
Leslie, very often when I'm painting a scene like this, uh, I'll have a big open space in a corner or like you have in the front, in your foreground. And I
Yeah.
find myself, gosh, what do I do with that
What
giant?
do I do with that?
Yeah, what are you
Yeah.
going to do with that?
Well, there's something that I think is really important about that. What I'm going to do here is I'll show you, but I think that one of the tricks that I use is to treat each corner differently.
Hmm.
Because actually, with something like that
Hmm.
can work because what it can do is make the viewer's eye go in a different direction, like with all of these diagonals this way, a diagonal this way, um, could help. Yeah. I think what I want to do before I get into that though is make a tone up here. I think that this needs to be a little bit more defined. But I've got to do the sky yet. Just using paper towel to give me a better pass through up here. This is Viva towel. Yeah, like you said, Joe, it's like I don't know what do I do about this design? The the source material doesn't help me, so I think I'm just gonna have to wing it. And so if I definitely want some, I don't want to repeat this because it's already too much of that. So people try to paint trees because they think they know what trees look like. And I'm just trying to accomplish a, just kind of a suggestion of what the trees look like. Oops, my battery's running low. Ooh, I'm glad I looked up. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay. This kind of looks like a bullseye, doesn't it? There.
You've almost created another path back into those trees.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I like this.
I do too.
I have to tell you that it's not necessarily me. It's a lot of it's accidents.
Happy accidents.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe what I ought to do, I think I need to add a little bit. At this point, you say, well, okay, I don't know how this painting's coming out, but I can tell you that I want to make sure that I pay attention to what the viewer's eye is doing. What does the viewer's eye, what is it that the viewer is thinking about here? One of the things that I like about the photograph is that there's kind of a purplish midtone that kind of keeps it keeps your eye, I mean, it's just nature that's doing it, but I wanted to I want to let things connect a little more so that now your eye really travels. But even just that little light midtone keeps the lets the eye go where the whites are.
So Leslie, we're at about 15 minutes.
Okay, I better get in the sky then. And then I will show you the one that I did in one of my classes that probably is better than this one, but of course I'm not looking at it, so I don't know. Have to wait. This we got about 15 minutes.
Yes.
Well, that'll work, I think, won't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think these trees need to be a little darker. See, they kind of got lost. And so if I heavy up on some of these trunks just a little bit, then maybe it will, um, create more importance in the trees than what I lost in the soft edges. That's probably too dark over there, so I think I'll extend it into the trees. I like these little tiny white flowers. There, better. Okay, so I have to think on the sky. I have to think about what am I going to do? I'm going to spritz this just a little bit so I can take advantage of a little water on in the sky. Not much. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be running. But I find that I've just recently learned that that's the case. Now I'm going to get rid of this dark water because this water will not go in the sky. You see this water? And I've got another bottle of water right here. See, I have this hanging on my easel. Okay. Hmm. Gotta make some room here. See with this palette, you can see how messy it is right now. I'm going to use a little cerulean, and maybe just a little bit of carmine, maybe a little more cerulean. Paper towel. It's too cute. It is too.
Somebody said, wow, so much more interesting look than the resource material.
Oh, that's nice of somebody to say that. Well, I don't know if this is finished. I hardly ever work this fast. It's just really difficult. But I think I need to just continue for a couple more minutes and get, maybe a little bit more, uh, a little bit more activity going in the foreground here, or not. It's all about design.
Mhm.
I'm working very fast. I don't, I'm usually more contemplative when I'm working than I am today. Um, but here I didn't have time to be contemplative. So just kind of winging it today.
Would you say this might be a pace that you work at if you're plein air painting, or are you still more contemplative?
No, I think this is faster.
Oh, okay.
I want to go back over this. Oh, man. Wait, I'll leave. What time is it?
You got 5 minutes.
Okay, let's do a comparison. So we have 5 minutes here, or maybe 4. Um, I don't know about, all of these little things could be a little bit less obvious. But anyway, I have one that I finished in one of my classes that I wanted to show you just in case I didn't get finished with this one. And this is what I have. So I want to see what you think, or what do you think? Can you see both of these?
Not, you have to back out a little bit.
Okay, let me get back.
There you go.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to see. Well, I don't know. This is the one I was going to show you if I didn't finish this. This one I did for my Monday class, and this one I did today. So, it'll take some mantle time for me to see whether or not I can work further through this, but I guess it's okay.
I think it's great.
You do?
Yeah, I really do.
Well, thank you. Um, anyway, thank you. Good.
Well, thank you, Leslie. It's just absolutely
Well, wait.
spectacular.
Well, wait.
Okay. All right.
Don't go, don't go anywhere yet. It's probably a little better. I think there's too much midtone, so that's why I was getting rid of some of it. Probably people are saying, stop, stop.
No, they're saying it's beautiful. They like this one better than your other one. They think
Oh,
it's
good.
more dynamic. They think the mountain looks better. Um, Some mantle time would probably work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, gee, I wish I could see everybody. You wanna un you wanna do the you wanna put us all in a group now?
Yeah, well, if
So
everybody
we
wants to be
say
in a,
goodbye.
just click over to gallery view, or you can stay in the speaker view, but
There. Okay, now I get to see everybody. Haven't seen you.
so it looked like a lot of people were painting, and I definitely think everybody was paying attention. And again, Leslie, thank you so much. It was really outstanding. How if somebody wanted to sign up for your one of your classes, how would they do that?
Well, I teach 3 of my classes for Center for Community Arts in Walnut Creek. 2 of them are in Zoom, and 1 of them's in person on Friday. And right now, there still may be some Zoom classes open if you go to Center for Community Arts in Walnut Creek, or if anybody wants to contact me, they could. If you want to contact me, how can they contact me, Joe? I mean,
I can put your CWA email in here.
I'll put my email in. Yeah, it's Leslie_Wilson@patbell.net
Okay.
if they want. And there may still be some spots in the Zoom. The Friday class is full. And my other class is full. So
So do your classes run for a specific number of weeks and then you get a new group?
yeah, they run 4 the four seasons. We're just we're getting near to the end of the winter session, and then there's the spring session, which is still registration unless my classes are full. They could be full. I
Okay.
don't know yet. But you can register for those classes through Center for Community Arts. And if you can't get in, then get on the waiting list, because there's always some people who might drop out, you know?
Yep.
So that's about all I have. I am going to teach a workshop in Vermont in June, and if anybody wants to know about that, they can email me.
Well, we'll have to get you back doing one for us too.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate everybody coming to the demo tonight. Thank you again, Leslie. It was just absolutely stunning and illuminating and educational and wonderful.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you did enjoy it. I was quite rushed and a bit uncomfortable with the time frame, so I tried to do it as quickly as I could.
You would never know by the comments.
Okay.
Leslie, if you do work on that one some more, will you send me a photo of it when you're done?
I will send you this. I guess yeah, I'll send it to you because you want to publish it. Is that what you want?
I want to put it in the video. Yeah, I'll put it into the YouTube channel video. For those of you who may not have seen it, I put our YouTube channel in the chat. If you want to see this recording, it'll be up on our channel in a couple days.
Okay. Well, I'll sign it. I'll look at it. I'll do some mantle time
Great.
and see if
right.
there's anything I need to do. But thank you
Nope.
all for coming. It's really nice to see everybody.
Thanks, Leslie. Good night,
Leslie.
everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Night, you guys.
Job, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you.